Sounds good over here.
Awesome.
So let's see. Making sure all of this is working. Mm-hmm. Okay. There we go. Ah. There we go. All right, we got Carl on here.
Hey, Carl.
How you doing, Carl? That's probably not on yet.
Yeah, I know that. I know when you first get in, the mute button is on.
Okay, so I'm gonna make sure this is showing up where it needs to. Well, it looks like everything's working. That is good. Okay. Give Federico a few minutes. Let's see, what is this? Go live. I think I need to. Oh, there we go.
Got your coffee this morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a Dark Magic, no creamer, no sugar, just straight black.
Nice. Okay, I need to, let's see, I'm having some trouble with something here.
Trust me, I've been having trouble all morning with this thing.
Unless they changed something. What is this? There we go. Entire screen. Make sure this works. Looks like this is working. Get that out of the way. Hey, can you hear us, Carl? Okay, this is working. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and play something.
Yes, I can hear her.
Hey, how you doing, Carl?
It's on the line.
All right. So we're gonna give a few minutes for Federico to get on here. I'm gonna play this video that I found from Tavi Costa. And Tavi Costa he's a capital manager at Crest Capital. He loves silver. So I've actually gone through and looked at some of his stuff, and he's really big on precious metals, and it's kind of cool to hear different things from people like him. So I have two things I want to show this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. It's just a few minutes.
It's interesting. It shows that there's a lot of long-term imbalances catching up with the short-term here of the markets overall. So I think that there's some issues in terms of the fiscal and monetary disorder we've had since the break of the gold standard is a very important part. That I think was very impactful in 1971 in terms of how we really began to see the monetary policies really take a role in equity markets and financial markets as a whole. I think that unlimited QE statement that Powell did a few months ago, it was just as impactful. And I think that will force investors to be looking for things like gold and silver. I think it's important to look at that and think about how we've had a precious metals bear market for the last 10 years aligned with that. And it makes absolute no sense, but it creates a huge opportunity, in my view, for this market. I think, when you look at especially the supply side of gold, with companies being reluctant to spend capital in discoveries and supply, it's important to remember here the role for gold and silver as a monetary asset throughout history. And I think more and more investors will be looking for those assets to be protecting and growing capital going forward.
So that was Tavi Costa. I'll have some links to this whole interview if you guys want to take a look at that. But it's kind of cool when you can see different charts like that. And
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So, and then I know later on, we're going to hear more from John about silver and why silver. But I found an article that has, if you want to talk to somebody and they ask you like, well, why silver? Like this paragraph right here, like gives you everything. Shining a light on silver. Shining a light on silver in solar specifically. So, solar panel actually uses 2/3 of an ounce of silver. So that's a lot. And, look at everything they're doing with the solar panels. Looks like Freddie's here.
Yes, good morning, guys. Good to be here.
Awesome.
Yeah, good morning.
My whole neighborhood, you see solar panels being installed on a regular basis. It's something I was doing research on concerning solar panels. The industry of solar is going to go to another level as they're putting these systems in play to create smart cities. I know Dubai is got a smart city going. It's a big, gigantic wall. You can look at it later. I should have got some information, maybe next presentation.
Yeah.
But yeah, smart cities, everything interacts, everything interconnected, everything, you may not like it, but I will say that they're going to power these smart cities with solar, and those of us who are having silver will see a massive increase in our future. So it's a good thing to have silver.
I mean, the demand of it is definitely going to be there always. And, I love precious metals. The biggest reason because you can hold it in your hand and it's like a savings account in your hand and it never goes to zero. So,
right.
But let's get started here. Let's see. We got to make sure we get our times good. All right. So why are we here, Federico?
Well, we're here to express to everybody our passion, and our passion here is to educate those who are friends of family about the secret tax. And it's the tax that people don't think about enough. We feel the emotions of what we're experiencing because of the secret tax. When you're at the gas pump, you feel the emotion. When you're at the drive-through buying your kids food, you're feeling the emotion. You're looking at the prices like, are you serious? What happened? Just last week it was this price. Now everything seems to be happening that way. Like last week it was this price, but now it's this price. It's the secret tax. And we don't want to think about it. We're trained to ignore pain, but to those who discipline themselves and think about it to a certain degree where we have a way out, we're going to read this disclaimer here. This is not intended to give financial advice, by the way. None of us here are financial experts. Please always do your own research, anything we're saying, and if you're questioning it, write it down in a bullet. You have the internet in your hand. There's all information. Go ahead and do your own research. And this is also not intended to promote any specific political party, religious organization, or any football team, or any. We're not here to cause any kind of division. We're just bringing all factual information before you. That's our disclaimer this morning.
All things we like, what we like to do. So what are we doing?
So we're here to help as many people as possible be more aware of the secret tax. Now, the importance of investing while supporting business owners, local business, and entrepreneurs. So we're also supporting small businesses. If you have a small business, you're a local business owner, entrepreneur, we support you because you are stepping out of the system to build, just like we're doing here. We're here to show everybody how to build assets. Number one, building a portfolio of silver and gold. You may have stocks. You may have a 401k. We have Carl on the line. He's got a 401k testimony I want him to share later. His 401k is shut down, and he's going to tell you how that made him feel. But build a portfolio, silver and gold. Have assets, actual money, not a printed paper that symbolizes and represents a certain value, but the money of silver and gold is money itself. Number two, improve and grow with personal development. We also meet on a regular basis and we educate ourselves with education. We're continuously gaining and developing and strategizing so that we can grow. And number three is to have the ability to build a business with this system. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a system here we're going to be introducing to you, and we're building a business with it, and we want to show you how we're doing that. And
Oh,
What is the secret tax, Philip?
all right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about inflation. And I think when you think of that word secret tax, it makes you think like, oh, like what am I not seeing? What am I missing? But see, the thing is, it's right in front of everybody, and especially now. The secret tax could be more than inflation, but this is a place to really start to look and see, well, what's happening? Because over time, they have a targeted rate of 2% annual inflation. So if you look at that and then look at some of these pictures I have here, like, well, what is inflation? So a rise in price, which can be translated as the decline of purchasing power over time. So that 2% over time, your money is consistently losing value if you're not investing it. Uh-oh. Oh, we lost audio, Federico. Let's see.
Okay, sorry guys.
There we go.
It's interesting, this 2%, it's so small but so great. Great enough to impact you over time, small enough for you not to notice in the immediate short term. Almost like when you take a toad, put it into a pot of water on the stove and put it on to flaming hot, boiling, and you throw the toad in, he's going to jump straight out because it's boiling hot. But you put the toad into some lukewarm water and put that heat on to number 5 and let the boil happen slow over time. He'll sit there and chill until he cooks dead without realizing it.
Yeah,
May I add something there too? So the target is 2%. Right now, inflation is at 8.2%. So
Well
just think
above
about
target.
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Way above target. Yeah.
Things got a little bit crazy, as you're going to see. So let's move to the next slide. Let's see. So we talked about inflation. So let's go back in time. 1971 is an important year, but how would you like to get some of these prices?
Hey, John, how would you like to buy a house for $25,200?
No questions asked. I'll walk right over there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So when you see things like this, it kind of makes you wonder, like, wow, like from 1971 till now, like what happened to the money? Well, the secret tax. A lot of different factors, but let's go back and look at 1971. It's good to look at history because this is when we came off the gold standard, or it led to that. So we had this Bretton Woods agreement. So basically, this was an agreement under which gold was the basis for the US dollar, and then other currencies then could be pegged to the US dollar because the dollar was as good as gold. So this is when we detached from that gold standard. And that was kind of a big deal because from that point, there was really nothing to keep the dollar in check or the money printing. So how much money were they printing? This chart actually gives you a nice visual because if you remember back in 2008, things got a little bit interesting with, finances, and yeah, everybody can remember that.
The housing market, everything was foreclosed. You could drive down the street in your neighborhood and foreclosure.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. So this kind of helps you see, like, okay, well, at that time in 08, it looks like they turned on the printing press because money just kept being added to the supply. But then the crazy thing, look at 2020, it just shoots straight up. So a lot of money was added to the supply. So the money was inflated. And what are some of these effects, like over time, that have happened specifically from 1971? We've seen more dual income working couples. So basically things became a little bit harder and harder over the years. So you needed, dual income couples to basically make enough money to pay for everything that they need, basically to make it. And here's another way to look at it. So this is a growth in productivity an hourly compensation. So productivity increases, but compensation just couldn't keep up.
You know, Philip, it's interesting. The slide before this one, that the timeline ended at 2010, and already the stats were so drastic where you would have to have the both spouses working, as you see in this picture here. Look at the bottom, 2010. This is an older chart. Right now, if we were to update that chart to 2022, let me tell you this. I'm talking to people on a regular basis who are living with each other, like entire families, you know, the cousins, the mom, the uncle, they're sharing bedrooms. Even people renting out single bedrooms. They have a house and they have a spare bedroom. They're renting that individual bedroom just because that's the demand, you know. That's a whole different chart in itself.
Yeah.
Now, people are also working 2 jobs, so you got to factor in that as well. I have some family members and friends, you know, working 2 jobs right now.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a good point, Freddie. You know, like I like to go back and look because specifically from 1971, you know, that's where you can see like, wow, different charts from this time. When they came off of that standard, like things got a little bit, you know, over time they got a little bit harder and harder.
There's a cause,
Yeah.
and then there's the effect of the cause. And then look at this one. Go ahead, and you were explaining this right here.
Yeah, so basically just showing like things, the compensation for hourly workers, it's not keeping up with productivity. So, you know, back in the day, things weren't as hard as they were now. That's what I get from that. So
Yeah.
that's why we have to find ways to outpace inflation. And if you're not going to invest, and be diversified, find a store of value. And that's where gold and silver comes into play, because, you know, you can have a portfolio and have gold and silver. And I know a lot of financial experts, some of them, they do recommend this. Some of them, they don't think to, but we're going to see from some different experts and some of the things that they've been saying. One of my favorite is Robert Kiyosaki. You know, I've learned a lot from reading his books and looking into, you know, what he teaches. So I'll read this first one. So if I have cash and I can't figure a way to put it into real estate or my business, I hold it in gold and silver. And then JP Morgan. Do you want to read that one, Freddie?
Yeah, he says gold and silver are money. Everything else is credit. Now think about that, ladies and gentlemen. When you're holding a gold coin, you're holding a silver coin in your hand, it itself is money. I like what Philip says. He says it's God's money. You know, it's God given. It's from the earth.
Yeah.
It's nothing that's created that's just as worth as much as your toilet paper, but given a credit value to you.
Exactly. You know, and then even when I see different things on TV, they have different clips and showing different locations and banks and things like that. Like you always see like, well, they're not giving up their gold and their stuff. They show images of it, and it's like interesting, you know. So, and even that concept of, you know, a coin. So I found this like very interesting looking back from history, because if we go back from 1971 back to 1933, how much can a coin be worth? So this year specifically, this coin, this auctioned for $18.9 million because gold was illegal. It was illegal for American citizens in this country. So people were told to turn in your gold or go to jail. So some of the people that had this, they found it. I don't know if they kept it, whatever they did. They ended up making a lot of money in an auction because all these coins were being turned into the government, making them extremely rare.
They were taken away and they were melted down. And those that were hiding their gold in secret, as this coin you see on the screen, the value of that coin is now 18.9 million, not just because it's gold, but because it was it went through a process in time where it should have been turned in and melted down, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
So now it has it's like a Michael Jordan rookie card,
Yeah.
There's only 10 made, and there's only 5, there's only 1 left because the rest were lost.
Yeah.
That's why this is some value. It's incredible, right?
Yeah, that's like if you're holding on to, one of the really valuable NFTs. It's like a Bored Ape or CryptoPunk right there,
It's like buying 100 Bitcoin whenever Bitcoin was 50 cents.
Yeah, because it's that scarce, that like from that year. And I mean, this is just interesting because, I don't ever remember them teaching this in school.
Never. I don't remember this.
My uncle actually taught me these things, and this has always been in the back of my mind. And that's why I've always viewed gold and silver.
Hey, Philip, let's have John read this under executive order. It's crazy, guys. This is information I recently found out. I'm 40 years old right now as we speak. I did not know about this until the year 2022. This year, I'm 40 years old. This is all new to me. This is how much that our society is blind to history. Check it out, John.
So it says here, under executive order of the president, all persons required to deliver on or before May 1st, 1933, all gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates to the Federal Reserve Bank. Oh, wow. That is crazy. And you know what? If I was in this times or position, I would keep my gold. I would never deliver that. That's just me now.
They're coming after you.
Yeah.
Well, and even at this time, though, you were able to have a small amount. And let's say, for example, you were a dentist.
It was jewelry. You're allowed to keep jewelry.
Yeah, so you were allowed to keep a small amount. But like if you were a dentist, you had to fill out paperwork, send it in, and then they would basically like approve it, and then they'd give you your gold so you can make people's gold teeth.
Kind of like how it's from 2016 up until last year, you couldn't just have a bag of marijuana. You had to have your card. You had to go get a certificate license to say I can have this. Isn't it crazy? And then now today things change. These guys make the rules, ladies and gentlemen. They flip the on switch, they flip the off switch. There's no telling for them to say turn your gold in again. Who knows?
Yeah. So if we talked about these dates, so let's look at this chart. This actually shows the rise and fall of the dollar. And, there's a big gap here by 1933. That was the Great Depression. So, I always think, okay, if there was this big crash in, 1929, people most likely lost faith in, holding stocks, Wall Street and all that. So a lot of people were most likely hoarding gold. And, that led to them trying to get it from everybody. And it's crazy because from 1933, you go to 1944, that's when that Bretton Woods Agreement happened. So that, led to the dollar being the world reserve currency. So if they have all this gold, they have all the gold, and then they can start issuing dollars and saying the dollar is as good as gold. People in other countries, if they had dollars, they could come to the United States, trade in their dollar for actual gold. But as an American citizen, we weren't allowed to have it. But, they had this fear because inflation, the secret tax, it started happening, and they had to detach themselves from that in 1971 because they didn't want a run on the bank, people coming in and taking the gold from other countries. So it's really interesting when you look at the dollar like this, because it's like, well, what happened? The more money they add to supply, they can manipulate those things. We just have to deal with it. So
can I add something on there too? This chart goes only up to 2019. This doesn't include the accelerated printing of COVID-19.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
The handouts.
We
factor in that. It's just crazy.
Yeah, this is just an idea showing you long term, like if you leave your cash in your mattress or under your bed, that might not be the best thing. So,
and if you think about that, like my dad, he passed away just a couple of years ago, but he had that mindset as well. I'm going to keep a few $1,000s in actual paper in my home, you know, in case of emergency, you know, good intentions. You know, I want to take care of my family. I want to have extra money if anybody needs anything. I got cash. But right here, this next slide Philip's going to go over, it's going to show you the error in that. So go ahead, Philip.
Yeah, so we're going to go back 20 years. And I might make another one that goes back even further, but just 20 years. Imagine a relative says, hey, Federico, or hey, John, Carl, here's $10,000. I want you to keep this cash, keep this money, set it aside. I'm like, okay, great. So let's say you have two options. You can either put it in a safe that's sitting there in dollars, cash, or you can go turn it in for gold or silver. So basically, with inflation, from 1992, $10,000 was worth $20,000. So if your money sat there in a safe, you lost half of your value by it sitting there in cash. Because the secret tax, annual inflation over that time, you weren't thinking about that 2.37%. In your mind, you're like, I got this money in the safe. I got 10 grand sitting there, you know, for a rainy day.
You're feeling safe.
The secret tax, it was secret because, you know, you're paying income tax, paying taxes on, you know, everything else in your life. When you buy things at a store, sales tax, you make money at your job, income tax. At the end of the year, more taxes. So this is a secret tax because that 2.37%, you weren't thinking about that tax with the money sitting there in your safe. But over time, it was just eating away and taking half of the value. So if you would have purchased silver at the time was $4.34. And in this example, these numbers are crazy. Like you would not pay like 2/3 over spot for a coin. But let's just say for an example, you paid way more over what the price of silver was for the spot price when the actual metal's in the ground. If you paid $7.59, $7, $8 per coin, so that would be 1,317 and a half ounces of silver. So let's say that 10,000, you converted it in silver and it sat there for 20 years.
Right. Instead of the dollar in your mattress,
Right.
You got 10,000 silver.
So let's see, where are we? In August, I think silver is a little bit higher today, but $20.28. So that would have been $27,430. So looks like we're running out of time here. Give me 1 sec. Let me take this off. Okay. Pretty crazy numbers, right?
Insane. Instead of losing half, you're doubling holding in silver.
Yeah.
Over these 20 years.
You know, a lot of times people don't think like, well, why would I just let it sit there in precious metals? But that's why you can have savings and diversify. You can have some cash to pay for things now. But if you're not going to use that cash, you can let it sit there and diversify your savings. Dollar cost average, put some of it in gold and silver.
That's what Robert Kiyosaki said. He says that he's going to put his money that he's not using in gold and silver.
Yeah. We're going to hear from John. John has some information about silver. John loves silver. So John, why silver specifically?
Well, with everything that you just showed us, Philip, I think we answered a lot of those questions. But if you were to ask me, well, I'm pretty sure we all know here that silver is a great hedge to inflation. Like we were just discussing, would you rather keep, cash in your mattress while you're losing your purchasing power at 8.26%? Or would you rather keep it in silver? It's a little bit volatile, but if you're saving long term, your value is going to stay within that silver. It's like a time capsule. You're storing your wealth within that silver. Mm-hmm. I personally like it because I've had savings accounts before, And I'm always tapping into those savings accounts, whenever I need the money. So go to the ATM and I'm paying more bank withdrawal fees to take my own money out.
Right.
So with the silver, it just makes more sense because I'm not going to get up and go sell silver. I'm not going to tap into it. It's a lot harder for me to do that. Plus, I'm like that little golem from the Lord of the Rings. It's like my precious, So
Yeah, you know what you
so-
have.
Yeah, exactly. So if you think about it, I did a video on it on my YouTube. It's also a form of insurance. In case of an emergency, you could go sell your silver. If you get in a car accident, you need to pay that high deductible, have a medical emergency. It can also be used for retirement. If you're stacking silver your entire life and hey, it's time to retire, by the time you retire, who knows what the price of silver would be.
Yeah, especially if
so-
there's so much demand for it. Every cell phone, the laptop we're on right now, solar panels, if the average
Yeah.
house
The drone industry
drones,
is blowing
every-
up, guys. Let me
smart
tell you something.
cities.
I've been studying. The drones are going to be delivering Amazon packages in our future. They will be flying your house, dropping them off, and they're bypassing traffic, red lights, gasoline drivers who are getting paid. Machines are going to be doing a lot of these things. They're all going to be using silver as well.
Yeah,
Those things are going to be dropping off my silver to my door. Just think about
Yes,
it.
sir.
it's funny.
But
so-
it's you could also look at this as a form of investment too, like we were just discussing, because long term, with the high demand. I mean, I just pulled up a paper right now. There's so many applications that silver is used for, and I can't even name them all. That's how long the list is.
Mhm.
And with the technology and everything, it's just going to continue growing. So,
Thank you, John.
but
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. Do we still have time, or we still?
We're running a
That's
little
it.
over on time today. Were we going to hear from Carl?
Carl, are you on board here? I want you to share about your 401k experience. We do have 6 minutes, so if you can cut it down to maybe possibly 3, 2, 2.5. You're muted as well. If you can unmute him, Philip.
Let's see.
Got it.
Oh, he's
I-
okay.
Clicked on it 3 times and wasn't wanting to respond. Yeah, son, I'm on the video. Come back later. So I watched my 401k tank for the last 3 years and made me angry because of the financial decisions and things that our government is doing and imposing their will on us. And we just have to take it unless we can find something to offset some of that loss. I've been carrying this coin around. I've got 2 of my Auto Wealth coins. I showed one to a guy washing his car yesterday. He already saw it, and I'm hoping he's going to become a member. And I've got his phone number, and I've given away some free packets. So my Roth IRA down, my son's educational fund down. All the stocks and mutual funds that I'm in are all tanking right now. And so I decided to draw back some of my income that I was putting into those, and I'm going to buy silver. And I've got some coin. I have some coin coming too. I just ordered some gold on the Auto Wealth, and I'm going to start stacking coins.
Yep. That's
Nice.
it.
That's
Yeah,
great.
man. I know a lot of
I
people are
want to say
feeling that.
one thing too, real quick.
Yeah.
One of the things you're talking about in the financial industry, they call PV and FV. PV stands for present value of your money. If you take your money right now, PV, present value, says that it's worth more right now than it is in the future. Future value means whatever return you get, and they have formulas that you can look at and depict what your money's going to be worth in the future.
Mhm.
So if you're not outpacing inflation, you're not making good money. And
Right,
you've got to
exactly.
outpace that inflation,
Exactly.
the secret tax.
The secret tax, because over time, even that money that we're trained, hey, like set up a 401k, you have a job, set it up there. The market share that people have in precious metals is crazy. It's like nothing. Like people just don't think like, well, I can diversify even my savings, and I don't have to get permission to walk into a building to get my money. I already have my money. I have zero counterparty risk. So that's really what we're showing people here, because like you have a 401k, but you can also have something over here, like John mentioned, as insurance, and it works that way too. So we're running really low on time. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. We appreciate you.
Bye.
Hello. So we have about 2 minutes and 50 seconds, Federico. I think we can go over this a little bit. Maybe we'll do another one, why we got involved in Quicksilver, just to show like, well, okay, we're talking about the secret tax, we're talking about precious metals, but what is this? What is this Quicksilver that we've gotten into? So we got 2.5 minutes. Let's just scroll through here and see what's going on.
Now, as Philip's scrolling through here, ladies and gentlemen, this is the back office of the system that we're using to obtain the 3 goals I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation. In this website here, as Philip's scrolling, we can look over a few coins, and we want you to get back to the person who invited you to this and ask them, hey, John, hey, Philip, hey, Carl, how can I get silver at these premium prices? The prices that we have are very premium, ladies and gentlemen. As a member in this Quicksilver here, we've never seen anything like this before. Philip, close this out.
All right. So
007.
yeah, I've been looking at some of these.
I like that coin.
So let's see. In 1 minute and 40 seconds, what can I talk about Quicksilver? 9 times out of 10, this program will beat competition when you want to buy precious metals, specifically silver, what we're talking about. They are very competitive. They have member benefits. Once you get involved with them, you're going to see like, wow, like they actually have a referral program, because I know people that stack silver with me. So I'm going to build this out, and then they reward you. There's ways to earn free silver here.
I've gotten free silver myself.
Yeah.
And, you know what, this company, it makes it really fun. You know, like what we're doing here together, we're growing together, we're building knowledge together, and we're stacking silver together. You know, this is a long-term game here. This is not something that's just going to end like just a fad, like some of these other companies. The product that they have is more than 1 million years old, and we've been using it for more than 5,000 years.
Yes.
And then the leverage we have to never ever give the image of us being salespeople trying to sell you a product you're going to consume and you're going to need it again.
Now we're sharing this. So
Sharing information.
Awesome.
I think we have about 20 seconds. So why don't you?
Well, thank you guys for having me on here.
Yep.
Carl, nice to meet you, man.
Yeah.
See you again in the future.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Get with the person that brought you to this today, and we'd love to talk with you.
See you guys later.
Later.